Hi ho, hi ho. Off to work I go.
Once upon a time, a city girl named Felicity and a city boy named Peter bought an abandoned 1830s farmhouse in New York. And this, week 4 of our living in the house, is the last big push to take advantage of the dumpster that came with part of our Orkin insect control project. And so I have a number of things that I want to do today. We need to get the recycling out because our recycling bin finally arrived. I need to do a last pass through the woods and pull out a bunch of trash, which is going to be the bulk of today's adventures. And then I also have an update on our squirrel situation. So let's get started with one of the easy things, recycling.
We finally got our recycle bin dropped off, so all the kitchen recycle and all the box recycle needs to go out, and then I'm going to tackle what's left of the outside stuff because we've had that bin almost 2 weeks. It was supposed to be a 9-day rental. At this point, I kind of feel like we should call somebody to have it picked up, so I want to make the best of it while we've got it. It's amazing how quickly this thing filled up. So with all the kitchen bags of recycling, I just got the 1 box of other loose stuff in here. The 2 boxes full of flat boxes. No room in this load. First things first, I want to finish that corner of the woods, which is where I left off on Saturday. And then I want to see how much of that shed we can take down, which would basically leave the area up here near the front of the house, which is the most dirty. It also has the fewest big pieces in it. It's just basically going around with a trash can and picking up lots and lots and lots of little stuff. Hi ho, hi ho. Off to work I go. Yeah, dum bum bum ba dum bum dum. Hi ho. So we pick up trusty stick, otherwise known as "Oh God, I don't want to touch that." Although today I have work gloves as well, and we'll go into the woods. Into the woods where nothing's clear, where witches, ghosts, and wolves appear. Into the woods, and through the fear we have to take the journey. That marks basically the boundary of where I want to go. I actually think for my own sanity, bringing things here is going to be easier because getting that further in is just going to be me hauling it over a bunch of dead sticks and things. So as you guys can see, this is a plasticky thing, which I've got to figure out how to get, but there's carpet there. I don't know what that mound is, but it's not great. You can see there's another tarp there, there's a tarp there, and obviously that set of wiring. Let's bravely venture forth. Here's a nice little path. Is that? It might actually be a log, now that I see it up close. We go back to the furthest things first and work our way forward. Hello, sunshine. It's going to be a weird day today, I can tell. Sunshine, snow, definitely a late March day. So our first exciting discovery of the day, there are several bits of worked wood behind that barbed wire clump, and I pulled this one out. It's in fairly good shape because it wasn't resting directly on the leaf mold, and it has all these regularly spaced holes in it, depressions in it, with a hole drilled through. Any idea what this was? Let me give you a close-up here so you can see. The size is a little bit bigger than a quarter, I would say. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 on what I think is a 4-foot board. Might be a 5. Yeah, I would say a 4-foot board. Most intriguing. I've also found a couple more dried fake flowers, which I found earlier, and a couple of hanging baskets. I think they're hanging basket. And some hangers. So this is the reason I'm down here today. It's not wrapped around anything except itself, and it's just resting against the tree trunk behind it. I have pulled out a couple of vines, which I'm pretty sure are poison ivy, so I've been very careful to use my work gloves. So I can't just pull it out by brute force because it's got all the soil accumulated in the bottom. So what I'm doing is using my stick to burrow under the soil, which is loose, and then levering it, first stepping down on it, and then leading it all the way up to see if I can work it loose. This side is not too bad, and this front half of the loop I think I could pull, but the back half, which I haven't started on yet, is the problem. So while I'm catching my breath, I meant to film this for you guys on Saturday, and my phone battery died. So I was working out here, which is just, next to our barbed wire glade here, and there are a couple of metal things sticking out of the ground that did not seem inclined to move when I pulled on them, and I can see that there's a piece of metal down there as well. So before I go messing around with these things, are these old grounding rods? Are these just things that I should be pulling out? This is the bigger one. Has a twist on the top, which is what made me think it isn't a grounding rod, but what do I know? And then this one here looks very like the grounding rod that we have right outside our porch that grounds the underground line coming into the house. So there's no record of electric lines being laid back here, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. And since it didn't come out very easily, I thought I'd ask your opinion. I didn't see this on Saturday in the light, but this also, it might just be trapped under that rock. I can get in here. Ow. Okay. Now this is definitely loose. So I don't know. Thank you very much, Pokey Bush. Yeah, anyway, so if you guys know definitively what those are and whether I should attempt to pull them out or not, that would be incredibly helpful. Ta-da, you guys! I got it out. So that's where it was. That's where it is now. Turns out that getting behind and levering it up, I basically just rolled it over so it was flat on one edge and then kept pushing and kept pulling vines out and shaking out all the loose dirt. So it's out. Now I just have to figure out how to get it up and into the bin. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited. I thought for sure I'd have to have Peter come out and help me get it in here. I was turning it over flat side to flat side to get it up here, which was surprisingly easy. It's pretty light, bulky, and of course the bits and pieces at the edges kept coming out to grab me. And then when I got it here, I just turned it on the long edge and up and then up again. Happily, it's light enough that I could lift it up over my head. It's in. I did it. That was absolutely the one thing that I wanted to be sure we got in here. Everything else, we could, I think, put it in the back of Stardust and take it to the dump if we had to. But we could have put that in the back of Stardust. I would not have wanted to try. It's awkward and pokey. So, yay. I'm going to go inside for a quick break, I think. And then we'll get back out there for tarps and tires.
So while I'm inside having lunch, let's go back to a brief bit of work that I did on the property a couple days ago. I'm actually pretty proud of this, not because I got a whole lot done, but because I forced myself to go out on a beautiful evening after work and keep up the momentum and do at least a little bit on the property. So let's time warp back to 2 days ago, and then I'll be back with you after lunch.
Here was our first objective. This is the cardboard that came with the new shower surround. It needs to be de-taped, but what a lovely large piece of cardboard to repurpose for the garden, yeah? Woohoo! That's one job done. That's the biggest piece, and then there are two more on the pile to the right in the other room. I was thinking I would use this in the garden, but I'm also thinking that might actually be a nice floor covering for putting some old window frames on. The things you can do with extra materials. Well, this obviously didn't get cleaned up when they were supposed to have cleaned up the barn stuff. It's a tabletop, I think, of some kind. Let me try to drag that out. That is definitely a best in dumpster. . That is much too heavy for me to lift. I did manage to pull it forward a little bit, and I turned it on end. That thickness you see there, which is a good inch and a half, is pretty much solid, probably plywood. I just can't carry that on my own. With two people, I think it would be imminently doable. Taking a look at the sun, trying to gauge how much daylight I have left. The answer is not much. Hold on a second. There's a date on this stone, 1953. Well, I really wish I knew where that stone came from.
We've had so little water for the last few days that the stream, which is seasonal, is almost drying out. And in fact, there's no water at all here in this crossing place. So I am going to go across to the stream and do a little reconnoitering on that shed. So as I'm standing here, you guys, frankly, this is a mess. And this is definitely more than we're going to be able to fit in the bin that we have. However, those tires that you can see in front of you, I would like to pull those out and get those in. I know that tires cost extra to get rid of, but they need to be gotten rid of. We're not going to do anything with them. Isn't that right, Mr. Sun? I don't think I'm ever going to get tired of watching sunsets on this property.
Well, folks, I finally met defeat. Of all the stuff that I've pulled out of here, everything else has been pulled out of bowl, except this. It's wedged so tightly between the tree trunk and the fallen trunk, and I can't move the fallen trunk. There's too much weight behind it. I've pulled out as much as I could from around the base. There was a lot of paper bags and stuff around here. I pulled this rug out of there, which took some doing and some levering with the stick. And then I pulled that out, which as far as I can tell is one of those giant agricultural bags. I'm also going to leave this patch. So this appears to be like, I think it's like a waterbed liner. It has a couple of nipples is not the right word. A couple of inputs on the end, and it's got a liner underneath the plastic. The problem is that it's so buried underneath so much heavy soil that I'm having to dig it out, and I really just don't have the time to do that. Likewise, this bit of metal here and that lid, which I think is the lid to this, because this is right where I found that Tupperware or that bin. I think I'm just gonna have to come back to those. I also found what looks to be the end of another one of those clay pipes, and I believe there's also another one right up there on that side of the log, and I believe there's also one in the back part of the creek. They're all kind of spread out. I mean, these three are in fairly close proximity to each other, but the other one that I found was all the way down there. So hard to say if they came in a flood or if somebody actually put them there deliberately at some point. So in the ongoing mystery of what those two pipes are, somewhat in line with that one up here on the riverbank is a tap and a bit of metal pulling out. Now, I did pull on it to see if it was attached. It did not move easily, so either it's attached to something or it's just buried underneath all of this. So here's the question. Is that just floating around somewhere, or were all of these pieces part of some sort of watering system at some point? It would have to be a very long some point ago because people haven't lived here for a couple of decades. So I found several of these in the stream bank a little ways down, right about there. And this one was right up here at the crossing. It's some sort of tile. None of them are whole. Hard to say where they came from. I think that might be another one there. A shame to throw them away. They make a nice, satisfying kind of ceramic sound when I pick them up. What a mess. I don't think I'm going to be able to get a whole lot of this stuff out, but my goal is to get the tires, and if I can get to it, the metal. The wood is just going to have to stay. This is a door, and I wanted to show you, look, there's this beautiful hinge on it. Unfortunately, there's just the one that should be on the bottom is missing. Right there is some kind of latch. Oh, I'm also finding these really, really heavy bits of pipe. I don't know what those are from. Okay, time to get the gloves back on and get to work. Fortunately, this is as far in as I can get. I cleared out, if you guys will be able to see it there, there's several pieces of like chicken wire and old fencing, which I reached into with the magic stick. I definitely don't want to go any further than this. It's really hard to tell where the bank is, and I'm afraid of falling into or disturbing things. Can you guys see, though, there's something here that says property of, and then it's blank. I can't read anything on there, but it looks like there's a crate behind there, and there's a bunch of these beautiful old green bottles, which I would like to get to and perhaps clean up and see if there's anything of interest. I have so many questions about what was in this shed and where it came from. There's lots of, like there's a drawer or a crate or something there. There are pieces like this white thing here, and there's some white thing over there that's like trellising. There's something there that's black, and then behind it there's a piece of asphalt. I don't know if those are all from the same shed, but yeah, there's a lot of wood down in here. There's something here that is a frame. Obviously the door here. So I don't know what this was, and I don't know if anybody will be able to tell me. I may ask Karen, our neighbor, and see if she knows what this is. There's another piece of metal there. Sometimes you end up with more questions than you have answers. So I've come around the mound, and that is the giant tree trunk that has fallen, and I'm assuming created all of this blockage back behind it. So the stream comes out below. So that barrel, God, there's another tire down there. That barrel you couldn't see from the other side, that's the asphalt or whatever that I could see the roofing. And that now I can see is a piece of metal that was holding a wall together. You can't see it from this direction. There are two tires down there in the stream bed. I'm just not sure how to get to them without getting my feet wet. Like there's a floor or something underneath there as well that you couldn't see from the other side. Now that I'm up here, I can see that there's definitely some trash on this side as well, whatever those are. These look very like the size panes of glass that go in the windows in our basement. So I'm going to put my gloves on and take those. Most of them look cracked. If there are any of them that aren't cracked, we may save them. Okay, friends. I am pushing the envelope here, but I'm on my very last task, which is to take the glass, the broken glass, off the ground and ideally out of the frame while we have the dumpster, and then I will have done everything. Hello, Snow. I will have done everything that was on the A list for the dumpster. These work gloves, I should have taken a before shot. These work gloves were brand new this morning, and now they are absolutely filthy. I've been taking them off and on all day, and the white sweatshirt that I'm wearing is no longer white by any stretch of the imagination.
So an update on our squirrel situation. It's been 2 weeks since the team was out here, and yesterday Charlie from Orkin was out to check on the squirrel doors, and they haven't been working exactly as intended.
They have dug around the gate up there, a new entrance, which we were told might happen. So the gates have not been effective because they haven't been forced to use them. So somebody's going to come back and put some wire mesh around there and see if they can make it more difficult for them to get in.
Whew. You guys, I made it. Doesn't that look marvelous? She's looking well used. I'm so pleased with how this workday went. It was a lot of work to get to this point, and a lot of hauling and a lot of shoving, but I got everything in here that was on my A list, and I am so happy. I am going to go inside now and clean up. Peter made some homemade chicken salad, and then we are off to the library for Peter's going to run a D&D game for some middle schoolers, and I'm going to talk to Marty and Laura about starting some asparagus seeds. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in my next video. Bye for now.